All right, we're rolling. Danny and Darci. Shelton?
So I'm Shelton. She's
Okay.
still Collings.
We're engaged.
That's all.
Not married yet.
Congratulations. That's all right. My
you.
bad. So we were talking a little bit before this, but tell me a little bit about what you guys do. I know nutrition's involved, fitness is involved, but a little bit more about that. What would you describe it as?
So the best way to describe me is I'm a nutrition coach. My big overlapping goal of the world is to make a huge positive impact on diet culture today.
Yeah.
What I want to do is teach people how to eat, and I want them to understand a lifestyle that is cohesive with their goals as far as their food goes. So I'm definitely not a lose 50 pounds in 2 months guy. That's not really what I do. What I do is I teach you just kind of a long-term plan to reach your food goals, whether that's weight loss, muscle gain. We actually have a lot of clients that come to us just trying to heal. And so if they have imbalanced hormones, women, if you haven't had a menstrual cycle in months and you're concerned about that, those are things that we help with.
Wow.
And so what we do is not only do we go through and we kind of, we start off with kind of telling you what to eat and how to eat it and when to eat it. But the difference between me and, your standard diet program is that while we go on this journey, I'm actually going to teach you how to do it all on your own.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. So by the end of the program, not only should you be able to manage your own food, but if, you should be that person that your friends are actually asking for advice by the end of it, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. And so then, Darci, you both do this together.
Yes.
But you've been doing it a little bit shorter time. How did you get started with it?
So my journey started about 18 months, almost 2 years ago. And I had just found myself after spending almost my whole life with an eating disorder. I'm also in recovery from drugs and alcohol. And when I got into recovery, that is one thing that I really pushed aside was my health. And so instead of turning to what I typically would turn to, which is anorexia and restrictive eating, I turned the opposite way of binge eating. And Danny and I had started dating, and it had gotten to the point where, I was almost 200 pounds. Cholesterol was crazy high. I wasn't sleeping well. My stress levels were out of control. And he had recognized that and finally had said, "Do you want help?"
How'd that conversation go?
Surprisingly well.
I was going to say, that can be kind of treacherous water sometimes.
I agree. I guess, and that's really what has driven kind of our brand is
Okay.
I'm not trying to change the way you look. That's not what's important to me. I'm trying to help you live your best life.
Yeah.
And so when we can point at health factors, that's really what made that conversation a little bit more okay, especially with my fiance was, we weren't talking about the weight. Cause you know what? I've known Darci for 6 years. We've been together for 2, but we've known each other a long time, and I've seen her fluctuate at this point, like 60 pounds.
Uh-huh.
And so it didn't matter. Like when we started dating, she weighed almost 200 pounds and that just didn't matter to me.
Right on.
But we're sleeping in the same bed and only one of us is sleeping. And then her menstrual cycle, that was probably the most awkward conversation. It's like, sweetheart, you're feeling a little bit icky this week?
Yeah.
Because I feel like you kind of hate my guts right now. And so that conversation was interesting. But when you can point to health factors, and then the biggest thing was her cholesterol levels came back really, really high. And so when there's health factors involved, then it becomes more along the lines of, look, you're a beautiful, amazing woman, and I love you. But there is a better life that we can live here.
Yeah. That's super interesting. That's always like really inspiring to hear those conversations that can happen. You got to be really self-aware enough to like deal with all that, right?
Thankfully, I'm very self-aware.
Well, no, that's a good thing, and I'm sure it took time to get there too, right?
Absolutely.
How do you have those conversations with your clients? Like, because like I said, treacherous. With some people, like if you said that to me, I'd be like, yeah, of course I know.
Yeah, it's definitely a very different conversation with males compared to females.
Okay.
And that's actually a big part of where Darci comes into play in our business. I do the majority of the coaching still. I do almost all of the personal training. Like that's I've done it for a long time. I love to do it. It's what I do.
Yeah.
And for a long time though, I had the majority of my clients were males, because there's just a certain comfort level there. But when Darci came in, that definitely changed. Now the majority of people we work with are actually couples and females. And it's because people who, I'm a 250 pound man with a big beard and a mohawk. And even though I don't feel like a very, what word am I looking for? Thank you. I don't feel like I'm an intimidating person.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different when you have a female that's trying to help change her health outlook. I may not always be the most approachable person. And so most of them go to Darci. That's actually a conversation that they generally have with Darci.
Yeah. I think you're onto something there, because I had to learn, like, I've been in sales my whole life, and I'm the same way. I'm bald with a beard and bigger.
And a nice guy too.
Yeah. Super nice. But I had to learn how to approach people, because, like, if you see this dude and you don't know me, and I'm sure you've had the same experience.
Yep, absolutely.
Like, I don't know what you're trying to do.
Well, what's cool with the experience that he and I had together, with him helping me, and now his ability to help other women, is that he didn't fully understand like the struggles that women with disordered eating or an eating disorder have. His viewpoint was, well, just do it.
Yeah.
What are you doing? He didn't understand. And so I think it's been really beneficial with our relationship and our business, is that he has a little more of a more level of understanding of just how difficult it actually is, that it's not one of those things of just do it. You've got to be a little more softer in your approach. And that's, again, where I come in, is I offer a lot of emotional support with these women. They're struggling eating. I mean, because it's almost like they come to me and they ask, is this really okay that I eat this?
Yeah.
Yes, it's absolutely okay. And with him, it's just like, just eat it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, that's, it's obvious that it's the best thing to have a team, because then you can get the most out of everything, right? And that's so interesting. So, I mean, how has your experience been with, like, Darci, like, being a recovering addict, and then dealing with those, like, recovering addicts as well? Like, do you feel like you get a lot of those? Because I know, like, with my experience with addiction, it was very similar. It kind of manifests itself in a lot of different ways, and eating can certainly be one of them, right?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, for me personally, I mean, that's how it manifested itself after I took the drugs and the alcohol out of the equation. Yeah. And then, I found food. And, I mean, just with our clients and with their disordered eating, we actually find just the opposite of binge eating, more or less just people just not eating enough. Interesting. And so that's a cool conversation to have with people, because, Danny will put them on a meal plan and they're like, this is so much food. And I felt that same way too. Yeah. This is so much food. Right. And how can I drop fat? How can I lose fat eating this much food?
Right. And it's the right food.
It's the right food. Oh, yeah. And, and that's what's cool though, is about, with our program, is that the food that we have you eat is actually food that you want to eat. So, I mean, it doesn't suck. Yeah. At all.
I know there's so many crazy fads out there now.
Oh, goodness.
How do you fight those?
I actually don't.
Okay.
That's not my job. My job isn't to fight really anything. If somebody comes to me and they say the only way that I can lose weight is intermittent fasting, and I say, okay, let's give it a shot. Yeah. Like I'm super willing to help you in whatever. At the end of the day, if someone approaches me and I fight against every one of their beliefs, it's just not going to work. My job is to guide you through a process and help you learn that on your own. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, none of that stuff is required, but it's also not going to harm you. Intermittent fasting doesn't hurt. If anything, it actually gives, it has scientifically been proven to be beneficial for your gut health. But it also sucks.
Like, it does suck.
I am unwilling to not eat for 16 hours a day. I'm not going to do that. Like, that just,
good for you.
That sounds insane. You know what I mean?
Good for you.
But if somebody comes to me and they already have that discipline, okay. But if somebody, like, the majority of people that come to me are not currently intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's a really tough one.
Yeah. Or the majority of them are not currently practicing keto. They're not currently practicing carnivore. I've had a few vegan vegetarians, but most of them are kind of part-timers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But generally, the people that come to me are people that have had significant struggles already trying these extreme methods that have not worked. I provide a much easier route.
Yeah.
So for example, like I'm a competitive power lifter. I just hit a big squat like 4 weeks ago and was on a calorie surplus to do that. So I gained a bunch of weight to hit the squat. And I've been on a deficit for like 5 weeks now. And in 5 weeks, I've lost 13, 14 pounds, something like that. Just like this week, for example, I'm eating a peanut butter and jelly bagel. I'm eating oatmeal with fruit. I'm eating a chicken sandwich, taco salad, and like two protein bars. Like I'm eating good food that I want to eat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what people come to me for. Like, look, I can't do keto because not eating carbs made me feel yucky. I got keto sick. I got
which is real. People don't realize that.
Absolutely. And I want a better, easier way. I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
My job is to like haggle with your body. You know what I mean? Like my mom's from the Dominican Republic. So I learned from a young age, this is how haggling works. Okay.
Yeah.
So my job is to feed you as many calories as I can while still helping you lose weight.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to put you on some 1,200 calorie HIIT diet and make you do cardio for 4 hours a day, because your body's going to react to that at first, but then you're going to stop.
Yeah. Cause it's not sustainable.
100%. So, I'm going to tell
for most people.
Correct. I'm going to tell a little story if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So we had a client. Okay, I'm not going to say her name, but we had a client who came to us. When she came to us, she weighed 249 pounds. Okay, she had recently lost 50 pounds, so she started at 299 and she came down to 249. Right. This client was eating 800 calories a day, and she was gaining weight.
Yeah, I mean, oh, geez.
So if you stay on minimal calories like that for an extended period amount of time, your cortisol levels are going to skyrocket. And I mean, basically what your body is going to do is react in a way that it is going to be ready to help you survive through a famine. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so your gut's going to downregulate, your hormones are going to downregulate, and your body's like, okay, we've given up 50 pounds of body fat in an extremely fast time, and I'm not okay with that. And so now I'm going to make sure that apparently if something's going to happen, if the world's ending, you're going to live the longest, dang it. And so I'm not going to give away any more of this fat.
Yeah.
And that's not an uncommon situation.
Sure.
Honestly,
makes sense.
Probably at least half the people that come to us actually need to eat more weight, concentrate on healing their body first, healing their hormone levels and healing their gut. Just because, like, when you're eating 800 calories a day and gaining weight, your options are eat more food, give your body what it wants, let it heal, let it relax, or cut down to 400 calories a day, which at that point, that's not enough calories for brain function, organ function. Like that's going to kill you. That's when you're going to start having hair loss and you're just going to die over time.
Man, that's intense. Holy cow.
Yeah.
But just there's a lot of misconceptions out there about eating, like especially with all the fads going on, right?
Sure.
And it's so interesting to me because, like, I've tried some things, but then I just realized that there's so many out there because everybody's body's so different. Right.
Yeah.
And so you just gotta, but like what you're saying, you kind of just haggle with the body, trying to figure out what works just for them, right? Because it is so different.
100%. Like, so we have a million different clients. Well, not a million. We've dealt with hundreds of different clients with hundreds of different issues, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's got something a little bit different. Keto, for example, or low carb really of any kind is great because there are so many people out there that are struggling with insulin resistance and diabetes.
Yeah.
So if I can give you a low carb or even a no carb diet in that situation, absolutely. Like,
that would be good.
Yeah, your body doesn't want carbs anymore, right?
Yeah.
For people that are struggling with gut health issues, like things like bloating, constipation, acid reflux, then you know what? Maybe your gut needs a break, and maybe intermittent fasting might be a good option for you.
Yeah.
For those of you that are struggling with your fiber content, then you know what? You're absolutely right. Maybe a vegetarian option is probably a better idea because you need more fiber. So you're right. Like, everybody comes to me with a different situation and everybody needs something different. But again, not everybody needs an extreme solution.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, like if we were here a little bit closer to the middle, usually this person maybe needs a little more vegetables than the other, and this person maybe needs a little more protein and a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We don't have to go to carnivore and I'm only going to eat meat for the next however long, you know, like
goodness.
Like all the extreme stuff is usually completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like the biggest thing I've learned too is that food is, I mean, it's a huge part of it, but these people come to me sometimes and, you know, they're averaging 3 to 4 hours of sleep every night. Their stress levels are completely through the roof. They're not managing their mental health in any way, shape, or form. And that's such a huge part of it. At the end of the day, if you're not allowing your body to recover, your inflammation levels to lower, your cortisol levels to come down, you know, at the end of the day, what does the rest of it even matter?
Yeah, that's super interesting. And that's kind of where you came in, right, Darci, was kind of helping with the emotional management, health of it. So how have you done that? Like, what are some of the ways that you help people with their emotional management?
I challenge most of our clients to take 15 minutes a day, find some way to reduce that stress. Yeah. Whether that be meditation, prayer, massage, walking. So we do tell our clients a lot, you know, try and get 8,000 to 10,000 steps a day if you can. Let your body recover. Get 8 hours of sleep if you're able. Lots of water.
Lots of water?
Mm-hmm. But I almost take on that role of like a sponsor.
Yeah.
If you're looking at like the addiction world.
Yeah. Well, that's cool though. Yeah, that's great.
So if you're struggling emotionally, reach out to me. You know, let's get through it together because you're not in this alone.
Because it's well, like you said, Danny, it's such a big part of the weight, right?
Oh yeah.
Because I've seen that. I've noticed that at least in my life too. Like where I've been stressed is where I've been the most unhealthy.
Yes.
Like physically.
100%. And it's funny because so we've got a few teenage clients that are, you know, seniors in high school trying to get scholarships. And even for them, it looks a little different. It's hard to tell a 17-year-old male to meditate.
Yeah.
But even, you know, 15 to 20 minutes, put your headphones on, shut the door, spend some time just listening to, you know, maybe not the heavy metal, but whatever.
Right, sure. Yeah, something that helps you get in tune.
Something that helps you relax. And it's amazing how that works. But yeah, with Darci, truthfully, like, and so my job is to, I'm a strategist, right?
Yeah.
And so when our clients get tired of me telling them what to do, they go for the emotional support to Darci.
Yeah.
And thank goodness that, you know, she's here doing it with me, because sometimes they're just, you know, I have somebody that legitimately is like, so I really just want to go eat a Cinnabon right now. I'm like, okay.
Don't.
Yeah, that's tough, right?
Like, I mean, we were planning on doing, because most of our clients eat dessert. Like that's actually, like, honestly, like we ask people to treat processed sugar similar to where, you know, like a normal human being might treat alcohol. You know, not something you do every day, but it's okay for the occasional weekend. You know what I mean?
If you're going out or something like that for a special occasion. Yeah.
And so usually there's actually a planned dessert somewhere in their week. And so, but when it's like, you know, I'm having an emotional day and I feel like a Cinnabon would help me, I'm like, huh.
Go to Darci.
That's where, you know, Darci would come in, because that, to me, like coming from like an addiction or mental health background, similar, to that sounds like addiction, right? Like I'm trying to feel something, like my body's craving a Cinnabon, not because like you need a Cinnabon,
right?
But you're trying to feel something, you know what I mean? You're trying to feel better or whatever, right?
Right. Mask whatever emotion you're feeling. Let's treat that with a Cinnabon.
Yeah,
not the best idea.
Yeah, which isn't the best idea, because then it can spiral.
Right. Goodness. And it typically does spiral into a binge. And so one Cinnabon turns into not one.
Yeah, well, because we don't actually need the Cinnabon. We think we want it. And so meditation, that's super interesting. How, you know, you said you had a few clients who were in the 17 range. They're trying to get those scholarships. Like, how do you I guess maybe for Darci, how do you get them to meditate? How do you get them to do the emotional side of ramping up?
Well, it's working with their parents too.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of telling their parents, like, again, just offering suggestions of how they can help their teenager get to a place where they're going to take that 15 minutes, you know, because they're going to need the parental support. Yeah. Because typically they won't listen to their parents. So if I say, okay, So go and listen to your music for 15 minutes a day, or, you know, just read whatever, you know, whatever you can find to reduce that stress, do it. And take that time, really plan that time out of your day. So it's really just working with the parents and then just staying in contact with them. What are you doing? How are you feeling?
Yeah, that probably helps those young athletes with burnout too, right?
Oh, yeah.
They don't get burned out. They can realize that, like, you don't have to be in the gym 8 hours a day to look like Danny, right?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But you know what I mean, though, right?
No,
like some
absolutely.
people do. Some people think that I got to spend 6 hours a day in the gym 7 days a week, and I don't get a break because, you know, so-and-so fitness on Instagram said if you take breaks, someone else is outworking you or something like that, right?
Agreed. Yeah, I tell people all the time, I actually only train 4 hours a week.
That's pretty sweet.
Like, that's it. I mean, I spend closer to 6 or 7 hours at the gym. Yeah. Because I love the hot tub.
Yeah, why not?
And I love the hot tub and I love the sauna. But when it comes to training time, and we actually do 90% of our training together.
Sweet.
4 hours a week. That's all that's necessary. If you're not able to recover from the work that you're putting in, then it's kind of a waste.
Well, especially like powerlifting, right? Like, because you're not doing, you're not doing CrossFit reps. You're doing 1 or 2, or
correct.
You know, and you're spacing out the recovery time and things like that.
Yeah. On an average month, I'm generally lifting over 500 pounds at least 5 or 6 times. You know what I mean? Like, and so it's definitely a process where you just got to let your body rest. Yeah. But we go through phases. We do a fair amount of tactical training and things like that as well. But for us, cardio means, you know, lift weights faster. Like that's what.
Well, but I like to hear that because a lot of people, especially like these young kids, you know, want it right now, and so they think that more means quicker, and which isn't true.
Oh, that instant gratification.
Oh, dude, yeah, right though.
Right.
You know, and I'm not picking on 17-year-olds because I'm sure a lot of people struggle with that too, right?
I agree. Well, and the thing is, I think a lot of the perception of the 17-year-old is coming from their parents. Yeah. You know, my experience is very different because most of these 17-year-olds have just, you know, there's a certain level of respect they have because they see my pictures and they think that's super cool. Yeah. You know, and little do they know that that's partly because of perfect lighting and a great photographer.
Yeah, that's right. The filters.
But not filters, but you can do a lot with lighting, bro.
I get what you're saying.
But the thing that I've learned with these 17-year-olds in particular, they're some of my favorite clients because the majority of them just need a little bit of attention. Like honestly, and it's not because their parents aren't giving it to them.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
These kids have great parents. Obviously they do. If they're hiring a coach for their kid, you have loving, caring parents, right? Right. But they've been listening to their parents parent them for the last 17 years. Yeah. And you know, they take for granted the fact that their parents are going to show up to their games and show up to their meets and all that stuff. Yeah. So when a stranger that seems like a pretty cool guy on Instagram or Facebook or something like that is also showing up for them and taking the time to say, hey, how are you doing? Not necessarily in a bossy way, but more along the lines of like, hey, I care about how things are going. I care about your success. I also want to be a part of your journey into collegiate athletics if that's where you're going. Right. All of a sudden their responsiveness is very, very different.
Yeah. Well, that just kind of makes sense because, you know, when you're a baby, you go for your parents' respect. And then when you grow out of that, you go for your peers. And so, you know, when you find a peer who's, you know, got their life together, they want what's best for me, and they're outside of my parents but they're hearing the same thing as what their parents are telling them, you know, then it kind of makes sense, right? Like be healthy, you know, meditate. Like it's not just your parents, that's actually real life. Like that's how we get better.
Like, oh, I just thought that my parents wanted to go to bed. That's why they wanted me to go to bed before midnight. No, that's because it's good for you.
Yeah, they're right. And now you got someone cool telling them that. That's sweet. So you started the business this year.
Correct. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had my own personal training clients, just as a side business for like a decade now.
Cool.
The change came with, COVID-19. Yeah. So March came around and at the time I had 14 personal training clients that were training with me consistently, which is, you know, 14 personal training clients teaching somewhere in the vicinity of 40 sessions a week. You know, it was my full-time job, right?
Yeah, cool.
Coronavirus came and I kept 2. That was it.
Whoa.
Yeah. So my income, as you can imagine, went from here down to, okay then.
Yeah.
And so, coronavirus happened, and we definitely had to make a switch. So, I'm certified as a nutrition coach, certified as a strength coach, all these things. But in-person personal training was looking like, it was more of a risk. All of a sudden, like having my finance depending on being able to see you face to face did not make sense anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we made the change. We definitely, so now 90% of what we do is nutrition coaching. 90% of our business is online or over the phone.
Cool.
And that's when we made the switch. It was because, I couldn't.
You just had to figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, and I'm not going to give my opinions on COVID because I don't know what's right or wrong. I'm sure there's so much information that nobody knows anymore.
Yeah, it's a losing battle for sure.
Correct. What I know is that I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if the gyms are going to get shut back down, and I don't want to have to worry about providing for my family if they do.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, and that's what you have to do. That's the right move. Is you got to figure out how to make it happen without the outside things that you would normally have.
Exactly.
Which is very, I know. I mean, I know a lot of people who had to do the same thing. Like, looks like we're getting the Zoom subscription.
Yep, absolutely.
Else, you know what I'm saying?
So everything got moved online, and she was working from home, and I was like, hey, will you help me?
Yeah.
Because I mean, again, it really broadened our horizons.
Yeah.
Darci was the first person that I actually helped through a program with an eating disorder. Yeah. And it changed my mindset. I spent years being, a little bit younger, a little bit less patient for sure. But it was you have to eat 6 meals a day, and you have to eat chicken, rice, and broccoli every single day. Yeah. And we're going to push hard in the gym, and we're going to do this, that, and the other. And then came Darci. and the problem is that Darci was willing to do all of those things. Yeah. Like no problem at all. And then all of a sudden, a week in, I realized that she's only eating about half the portion that I was giving her. Yeah. And so instead of eating, the 1,600 or 1,700 calories that I wanted her to eat every day, she was only at 8 or 9. Okay. And so I realized that for the first time in my career, I was dealing with a very, very different situation than what I knew how to deal with. And so her body didn't need hard gym sessions. Her body didn't need limited calories. She just needed to understand and learn. And that's really what has created our model for today is, we don't teach good foods and bad foods. Yeah. Because so many of our clients come to us already with this mindset of these foods are bad and they're going to make me fat if I eat them. Yeah. And we actually want to combat that now. And so we don't teach any of that stuff. Don't get me wrong, we still do balanced macros. We still calculate your calories. Like we still do all the things that are necessary to help you, reach your goals. Yeah. But the mindset's very, very different.
Well, I think that's like a very inspiring story because from my point of view, that's kind of what you have to do, right? I love hearing those stories where people just like were hit with something that I've never dealt with this before, and you got to figure it out, and you develop, you realize that you have that empathy now.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
And it just makes you want to help.
Yeah, it does. It really does. That's so cool.
Well, you just realize that they need more help than, because if you look at the statistics, 6 out of every 7 overweight people are going to lose a significant amount of weight. Yeah. They also all put it back on. Like 80% of people put it right back on. Yeah. But those people are not the ones that necessarily need my help. The ones that need my help are the ones that have a negative relationship with food, that legitimately feel badly about themselves because of where they're at with their current health situation. Yeah. Those are the ones that I want to help. I want to help people that I can literally help better your quality of life. Not just put you on a regimented meal plan and make you suffer until you look the way you think you want to look. That's not what I'm trying to do. I am trying to better your quality of life, even to the point where 3-4 months down the road, you gain 5 pounds and it's like, hey, no big deal. Danny taught me what I needed to do here. Shoot me a text message, say, hey, this is what I think I need to do. What do you think? Yay or nay? And all of a sudden, like, everything's fine.
Well, and now it's their plan, not your plan. And so they're going to work harder for it.
Correct.
Right. And they're going to be like, you know, they're going to figure out a way to get it done because it's not Danny told me to do it. Darci told me to do it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So that's super interesting. And so how did you guys meet?
Oh, so we met in the recovery community.
Oh, cool.
So Danny's in recovery as well.
Well, yeah, I saw your video as well. So tell me how that whole story. I mean, because I love the video, and I love that, you know, you share that with people because so many people are afraid to do that. Like, I'm also in recovery. So.
Yeah. No, you know, it was hard for a long time. Darci's been sober for longer than I have. Darci's been sober for 7 years. I've been sober. I just celebrated 3.
Right on.
And, you know, it was funny because I was actually a little bit of ashamed of the story. And then I realized, well, I was taught.
Yeah, we were.
That I was taught was like, hey, there's no shame there. What you need to do is understand that this is kind of what made you who you are. And not only is that okay, but you are a better man because of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I met Darci 6 years ago. I was still in active addiction and she was sober, and I started asking her out, and she told me I had to have a year sober before she'd go out on a date with me.
Oh, interesting.
And I got a year sober, and I asked her out, and 3 months later we finally went out.
He asked me out and I said no. Yeah. And then he asked me out again and I said no.
Good for you. That's super cool though. Yeah, gosh. Well, and it's probably the same thing. It'd be the same question that I would have asked about, you know, why people have such a negative relationship with food, and, you know, why people, you know, when people come to you, I mean, guards are up, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's just always so interesting to me that people can thrive in business situations, and in business situations where people come to them with guards up, like, I should not be here. Like, everything is telling me, you know, cause I'm, you know, addicted, or like I have this negative relationship with food. I might be doing whatever, and they still come to you. Right. Mm-hmm. Why do you feel like it's so hard for people to be open about these things, to come to you with certain issues like that?
I think, I mean, it's the fear.
Yeah.
It's the shame behind it. So what's cool is and I'm noticing just being in this industry now, health and fitness is very parallel to recovery of, you know, from addiction.
Yeah.
And there's so much shame behind, I mean, just with eating disorders or with being overweight, there's so much shame behind it. You know, people put their value on their appearance. Yeah. And so to come and say, you know what, I'm really overweight, I need help. You know, it's basically just putting everything out on the table. Yeah. Like, it is such a vulnerable thing. And, you know, it's just like somebody in addiction just asking for help. You know, I'm really struggling. I'm homeless, whatever. Yeah. And I need help, you know, and I think that's, you know, just the fear behind it. Yeah. And just the fear of change too. I think that a lot of people are so afraid of changing, and because it's a whole lifestyle thing, it's a whole lifestyle change. Everything you have to change, or, you know, all you have to change is everything, right? As an addict or somebody that's trying to change their lifestyle with food and nutrition, or in food and fitness.
I've also learned that I think the biggest struggle that our clients have when they first start is not necessarily the fear of admitting where they are. Well, sometimes. Most people, they tell you they're starting weight. They're usually off by about 10 pounds.
Yeah, right.
But you know, I think that the biggest struggle that people have when they want to start on a health and nutrition journey is they don't want to financially invest, not because it's that expensive. It's because they don't want to put money into something that they don't actually think they can do. Yeah. And so there's that, well, I've done this diet and failed, this diet and failed, this diet and failed. Yeah. I don't think I want to do this because I don't think I can do it. Yeah. Like that's probably the biggest thing that holds people back.
Right. Well, and that confidence, the behavior. Mm-hmm. Well, you know, and it's tough for people, right? So how do you approach that as like a business owner and as a friend? Like, because this has to be part of like what you train for. How you get clients like that, right? So how do you deal with it?
100%. So we start with habits. That's it. I legitimately, I come up to people, and here's the thing. At the end of the day, look, it's not necessarily recommended, but I can actually help you lose weight eating donuts and Pop-Tarts every single day.
Yeah.
Like that's honestly just how it works. Are you going to have the healthiest body at the end of that? Probably not.
Yeah.
And over time, obviously, we want to get away from that stuff.
Yeah.
But we just meet people where they are.
Yeah.
And so if the only thing that you are currently capable of eating is freezer dried, pre-made, hungry man meals and Snickers and Kit Kats, and that's all that you're willing to eat right now, okay, let's start there. You know what I mean? What I'm not going to do is completely uproot people out of their lives, feed you all this healthy stuff that you have to cook when you haven't actually cooked a homemade meal for yourself in 10 years. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to meet you where you're at, and then we're just going to make small changes. Maybe instead of, maybe we can make the adjustment from Snickers bars and Kit Kats and
so extreme.
Yeah.
But if we can change those into protein bars and fruit, then that's what we're gonna do. And that's gonna be the first baby change, right? Yeah. And then instead of the freezer hungry man meals that are been sitting at Walmart in the freezer for 6 months, let's make the adjustment to maybe it's still frozen, but it's a frozen chicken patty. And it's an actual organic bun, and it's what I mean. But I just try and help people make small changes and keep it simple, because that's obviously, when you're eating that kind of stuff, a lot of times it has nothing to do with taste, because that stuff doesn't taste good.
No.
It's just about the convenience of it.
Yeah.
And so we just meet them where they're at.
Interesting.
And literally for most people, it doesn't matter how awful their eating habits are. The first month, I do my very best not to change anything.
Yeah.
As far as, so we changed the content, we changed the quantity of what they're eating.
Yeah.
But as far as food quality, I don't actually do that until people have started building habits with the quantity.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
and so if you're overeating on processed foods, I'm just going to try and get you to where you're eating an acceptable amount of processed food.
Yeah.
That's it. and then I'm going to help you recognize and understand that we're on quarantine or we're working from home. Just because you're sitting there thinking about food, that doesn't necessarily make you hungry. Right. You're very likely just sitting there with nothing else to do. Right. And so it's just kind of listening to your body and understanding this is how I'm actually feeling. And that's probably the biggest difference between our program and like a Weight Watchers or something like that.
Yeah.
My clients have between business hours and reasonable hours, but they have access to text me whenever they need to. Yeah. And so if you're sitting there thinking about food and are you sure you're feeding me enough? You don't have to wonder that. You can just shoot me a text message. And I'm going to say, yeah, I'm pretty sure. How are you feeling right now? Yeah. You know what I mean? That's a conversation that they get to have. Yeah. But yeah, when it comes to people that's the biggest thing. It's look, guys, I'm not going to give you a point system. I'm not going to baby you through this whole thing. I'm also not going to completely uproot your life. Yeah. I'm going to meet you where you're at. And truthfully, for most people, once they start seeing results, they get to that place where they want to start making more healthy changes all on their own.
Interesting. And you felt like that process has worked for your clients? Yeah,
almost every time. Truthfully, the majority of my personal training clients, for example, personal training is if I'm being completely honest, it's fairly expensive. Yeah. It's not something where you're going to go, you're making a significant financial investment for personal training. The majority of my personal training clients are people that were nutrition clients for 2, 3, and 4 months. And they're like, you know what? I really want to start working out. Yeah. And there was just kind of this natural progression of I feel better. I want to move my body now. And that's just kind of how that works. That's interesting.
Yeah, because I had never thought about it like that you're, because I work out and I do my own thing, but there are, I never realized that, and I guess I should have, but the natural transition between when you start feeding your body right, you get more energy and then you want to work out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you feel good.
Yeah.
You have a lot more energy. And I think one thing that he didn't mention is that if somebody's not ready to work with us, not ready to invest in themselves as far as working or doing one of our programs, we offer a lot of free content. We offer a lot of free advice. Yeah. And so that's something that we do offer. If somebody's not ready, that's okay.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
maybe it's not their time.
Right.
And that's okay too.
Yeah.
You know, but we want to make sure that, you know, we offer a lot of value to what we do for those that can't afford it or don't want to. You know?
Yeah, because a lot of people just aren't ready, right?
It's true, and that's totally okay.
Yeah, they're just not in the space. Well, and it's almost like, you know, it's kind of a tough thing to say, but I've said this a lot, like in business and sales and stuff. It's almost like if you're not ready, like don't come yet, then you know, because I don't want to waste your time, I don't want to waste my time.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean? And so, but people feel like, you know, that's almost a little offensive. But I'm always just like,
yeah,
but
okay.
I just want you to be ready when you're ready. Like, give me 100% when you're ready to give me 100%.
Yeah,
exactly.
no, I totally agree.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's still, so look, we talk about health and healing, right?
Yeah.
But you don't come to me if you don't want results.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's just the reality of
it.
If you're hiring me, you also need results. Like you want to feel good, but you also want to lose the weight.
Yeah,
you want to get stronger or whatever your goal is, right? And so if you're not ready to put in what you need to put in to get those results, then I agree. Then maybe let's wait.
Yeah,
let's wait. Sure. Let's wait until you're ready.
Yeah. So I kind of wanted to I like asking this question for a lot of people just because I feel like it brings on a whole new conversation. But is this what you thought you were going to be doing 5 or 10 years ago? Well, you said a decade, so before that.
Yeah. You know, no. So I mean, maybe.
So maybe a little bit, yeah.
So I played high school baseball and high school sports and high school basketball, and I was an athlete and had an idea of being like a physical therapist.
Okay.
And then I joined the military and ended up kind of getting to a place where I struggled sitting in a classroom. Yeah. And then, you know, it's funny because I spent years wondering if I was actually qualified to help people eat. Like I just had no idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah, interesting.
And I would go through and you know, I've spent a lot of time and money educating myself at this point. Like I've gone through various nutrition courses and certifications and worked with coaches and all this stuff. And all of them were like, when are you going to start coaching people? I was like, I just want to make sure that I'm as qualified as you know, the most qualified person out there before I start. You know what I mean? But truthfully, like it was my intent to coach people and to be involved in the fitness industry probably since I was at least 18 or 19 years old.
Wow.
And there have been like different variations of that. You know, there was a time when I was a big runner and I thought I was going to help people run.
And, interesting. So even in the same industry, you switched your specialty.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was a bodybuilder for like 4 years. And it's funny because now I'm actually kind of like morally against teaching people how to do that because it's so bad for you. And
it's
I'm
nuts.
Yeah, and I'm like I'm unwilling to like put people through that kind of pain and trauma. like I won't do it anymore. But I did it. You know what I mean? I did it for a long time, and so yeah, for me it's been a really, really long time. But Darci's story is definitely very different.
Yeah. Go ahead. And then I'll come back to the bodybuilding because I think that's kind of a funny conversation. But yeah, tell me, like, is that what you thought? Is this what you thought?
No, not at all.
What did you want to do? Yeah.
Well, so I work in treatment. I work at a rehab.
Okay.
And
great.
I just thought that was something that I was going to do my whole life. And so when Danny and I started this journey together, I found like this whole new love and passion for nutrition and fitness.
That's cool.
And so when I started this with him, I was like, oh, I can still help people because that's my goal, is to help people be in a service industry, right? Helping people improve their lives. And so when we started this together, I was like, oh, this feels right. Yeah.
Well, and I like that you mentioned earlier that it kind of just fit. It kind of just fits. Well, you know, where how you teach people in recovery is how you teach people with fitness and stuff.
It's very
like
parallel.
They're the same. I really, and you know what I found too, are those same principles translate well into business, well into how you manage a business and how you deal with your business partners and stuff like that. So what did you do? So, you've always worked in a treatment facility?
Since I got sober. So
good for you.
Thank you. Yeah. So I started in that industry a year after I was sober. And
well, step 12.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Give it back.
Give back.
Yeah.
Help somebody if you can.
And I've loved doing that. And so I've been a case manager. I've been an operations director, executive director, and now I do
That's
admissions, just for now.
Yeah.
And
well, and what were you doing before that? Like, what other jobs?
oh gosh,
Everything under the sun.
no, I was in the mortgage industry, and then
Interesting.
property
Yeah.
management, and
Okay.
so
Well,
very different.
Yeah, well, no, because I like to hear those things because, you know, a lot of people think that you got to be stuck, right? Like, you get a degree and you got to be in this industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they don't realize that people who are successful, they change their minds a lot, and
Right.
until they find something that feels good, right? And they're not opposed to changing because, like, the mortgage industry felt good, and then I moved here, and that felt good, and then I moved here, and I can't be afraid of that, and
Yeah.
Right.
you know, and that's why, like, I always tell people, like, just don't get like if you want to learn something, learn it, but don't, like, you know, get so involved,
Right, and be stuck in it.
Yeah.
I realize more now than ever that I could not be stuck in a cubicle.
Right. Well, and
Yeah,
it
it's
just,
interesting.
you know, for me, it took me a long time to realize that I shouldn't be chasing money, because I
Interesting.
don't actually work anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Truthfully, like, I don't. I talk to my friends for a living. Like, that's literally my job.
That's awesome.
is to talk to my friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no other way that I could ever imagine spending my life.
That's awesome.
And there are plenty of other ways out there where I could make so much more money.
Yeah, I'm
You
sure.
know what I
yeah,
mean?
I'm sure.
I just don't care that much anymore.
Yeah,
Like-
because you found what you like. you know?
Like,
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. And I'm super comfortable with just, you know, living within my means and continuing to do exactly what I want to do for the rest of my life.
That's so awesome. And, you know, another reason I started the podcast was a point that you brought up, you know, is that you can be happy. And a lot of us think we want the $1 million. And I'm not saying you don't have $1 million because I don't know you. But what I'm saying is, like, you can be happy without that. You can be happy loving what you do, and you can make money from your skills. And, you know, because a lot of us aren't ready, you know, a lot of us aren't ready for the $1 million. Like,
Right.
well, responsibility. Like, that's a lot.
Bro, the stress level. Oh my goodness.
Well, that's what I'm saying. A lot of people don't get that, right? And so I encourage. I'm the same way as you. Like, when people I talk with people about business. I'm like, dude, just do what makes you happy. Like, if it ends up making you $1 million, $1 billion, right on, dude. If it ends up making you enough for your means, and you're happy and you're killing it, dude. Like, that's what you need to do.
I agree.
You know?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, we definitely don't have $1 million, by the way. It'd be nice, but no. But truthfully, if you look at the way that we have kind of built our business, you know, that's not necessarily the goal either.
Yeah.
You know, we have, you know, kind of limits that we've talked about as far as the number of clients that we're willing to take.
Yeah.
Because as soon as I'm taking away from the individualized attention that I'm able to give right now, and in order for my pocketbook to get bigger, I'm not very comfortable with that.
Yeah.
I'm way more comfortable with being able to give an amazing product.
Yeah.
And so I'm more concerned with being a Ferrari compared to being a Ford.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to put out millions and millions of cars that are cheap and not that good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to put out the best products that I can give. And I still want it to be affordable.
Yeah.
But, you know, at this point in time, you know, if a client shoots me a text message and needs help, I can give it to them.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't want that to change.
Yeah.
You know, I
You
still
want to just be you, man.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. I'd like to go on an extra vacation or two here and there, you know?
Yeah. But you have the
cool.
skills that you can do that, right?
Oh,
if you wanted to, you know what I mean? But that's why it's so cool when people can make money off of their skills, because it's like, I have that opportunity if it ever came up, you know? And that's what I think a lot of people miss too. So I want to, just a quick question about the bodybuilding. Because, you know, that's kind of I don't know if it's a fad right now. I don't see a lot of people doing it, but maybe I'm just not in that sphere.
Well, in my world, it's a thing. We've actually had to turn away a few clients that have come to me for bodybuilding expertise.
Yeah.
And I have it.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah.
I would never do that to somebody. For a few things. Okay.
Yeah,
So for me, here's my bodybuilding experience. Okay. I've done a full 10 weeks of show prep. I've cut down to 6% body fat, and it was awful. And I was probably 4 weeks away from competition and decided that I was done. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. There's a few different reasons. One, I realized that at 6% body fat, it was never going to be enough.
Yeah.
It didn't matter how lean I was. It didn't matter how much effort I put in. There was always going to be more improvement to be made, and it put me in an extremely ego-based place that was not very healthy for me as somebody who's recovering from addiction and all those things.
Right, dude.
Like,
Yeah.
when all I'm doing is I am looking in the mirror at 6% body fat and looking at places on my body that I can improve, that's just not a good headspace for me to be in. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Second thing is the amount of disordered eating that started happening. Literally, I would see other people eating things that I could not currently eat, and in my mind, judging them for eating that.
Wow.
Like, oh, you disgusting human being. Like that literally went through my head, and I'm not that person.
Yeah.
But just being in that place where I was just so severely restrictive. And then the other thing is when I stopped and then started eating food again, I started feeling those judgmental, shameful feelings about myself.
Oh, geez.
Like, what is wrong with you? Why are you eating this food? I can't believe that I just ate this half a bagel. I should probably go throw up because I can't believe I put that in my body.
Oh my goodness.
And so just having gone through that, and I mean, truthfully, like, here's the thing, 10 weeks into a cut, right? Eating minimal calories, all that stuff, you go through and you're starving, hungry, and you finally get some food. But at 6% body fat with that low of calories, you're still hungry after you eat the food.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. And so I definitely made that decision at that point. Like, A, I don't believe in it. B, it's awful for you. You're down regulating every positive thing that's happening with your body at that point, right? Like, it's not good for you. And I'm completely against the concept.
Well, I mean, so I've never been like I played football and did all that stuff, and so I was in the gym, but I never got into bodybuilding because, like, I don't know, it just wasn't me. I'm Polynesian, so I don't even know if Polynesians can bodybuild because we just eat, like, that's just what we do.
Yeah,
you go to your auntie's house, turning away food is offensive.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. Well, and now I'm a performance athlete now. It's all about picking up heavy stuff at this point in my life.
Cool.
Like,
good for you.
I just found so much more satisfaction there.
Yeah.
Because, it's something that you're always working towards.
Yeah.
But it's got almost nothing to do with the way I look.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at the people that are significantly stronger than I am in that industry, most of them are not, like, physique wise, like, probably not the best looking individual, but they are amazing because they are strong. You
know what? I realized, like, I wrestled forever. I do jiu-jitsu. So I wrestled for like 12 years, and now I do jiu-jitsu, and that's my working out. That's just what I like. But I learned that, like, when I was very little in wrestling, like, never judge somebody on how they look.
Yep.
Because you just never know. Like, I've seen, like, the skinniest, lankiest guys going up, against kids who are, like, I mean, if you were just looking at him, you'd be like, there's no chance this kid's got no shot, right?
For
and this kid just, embarrasses him.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And you're like, and so I just remember after like the 4 or 5 times, or you watch these heavyweights, and sometimes you get this real beefy guy, and then you got this kid who just doesn't look beefy. And he looks fat, right?
Yeah.
I'm fat, so I can say that. I don't know. I'm just kidding. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you look at the end, you're like, and this kid just, and the kid who you thought would lose just goes off the chains.
Yep.
Just embarrasses, puts on a clinic.
I agree.
And so I stopped judging people on how they looked because, like, I don't want to I don't know, man.
Yep.
You never know, dude.
I agree.
So true.
I 100% agree. At the end of the day, when it comes down to is, look, guys, if you are comfortable with the way you look, what else matters?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Well, that's not true. I'm not going to say that either. If your health is in order,
exactly,
and you're comfortable with the way you look, what else matters? Yeah.
No, I like that. I like that you added that. I mean, because I understood what you're saying, but I appreciate that you brought it up because it's true. Like, if you're healthy and you're comfortable with where you're at, I mean, that's where you have to get to, especially when you're dealing with, like, the emotional side of things,
Absolutely.
and just making sure. So let me ask you this: what's the name of your company, and where do people go to find you if they want to get involved?
It's D&D Fitness and Nutrition.
Okay.
You can find us on Instagram, D&D Fitness, and then we also have a page on Facebook called Getting Stronger Together.
Okay.
If you want to work with us, go into our bio on Instagram, and there will be a job form. You'll fill out an application. If you're ever just wondering random advice, find us on Facebook, Darci, Collings, and Danny Shelton, and we'll help you. We also have a website, dndfitness.com.
dndfitness.com. Well, cool. Well, hey, thank you guys so much for being here. It was a real pleasure to sit down and talk. It was a lot of fun.
Heck yeah, thank you.
Yeah.